I can break that horse?" The yard fell quiet for half a breath before laughter broke out. The foreman laughed first, loud and easy, and turned his head toward Ethan Cole as if inviting him to join. He said they did not need kitchen help here. He said it plainly, with a smile that never reached his eyes. Then he looked back at the woman standing in the dust and let his gaze move slowly, without shame. "With a body like that," he said, "do you really think you can climb onto a horse, or will you be out of breath before you even reach him?" Another voice followed from the men behind him. Someone laughed and said if the horse kicked her, it probably would not hurt as much. She had more padding than the rest of them. Laughter rolled through the yard, rough and careless, like stones thrown for sport. No one stopped it. No one told them to hold their tongues. All eyes drifted back to Ethan Cole, waiting for a gesture, a word, a simple wave of his hand to send her away. Abigail Moore stood where she was. She did not step back. She did not speak. She listened. Every word landed and stayed. The heat pressed against her skin and the dust clung to her shoes, but she did not move. She kept her hands at her sides and her shoulders level. When the laughter thinned and fell apart, she lifted her eyes to Ethan Cole and spoke again. If I can get close to him, and he listens to me, will you hire me?" The foreman laughed once more, shorter this time, and made a show of stepping aside. Someone muttered for her to go on then. The horse shifted against the rail, muscles tight, eyes white at the edges. He had already hurt 2 men that week. Ethan Cole felt his jaw tighten. He watched Abigail step forward and felt an unease he did not expect. It was not the horse that worried him. It was how close she was standing, how little room there would be if things went wrong. He took half a step forward without thinking, then stopped himself. Intervening now would make him no different from the others. Abigail did not reach out. She stopped several paces away and waited. The horse tossed his head and stamped once. She waited longer. Her breathing slowed, steady and deep. When she moved again, it was only a small step, then another. Ethan felt his chest tighten when the horse pulled at the rope, and he almost spoke. Then Abigail placed her hand against the horse's neck, light as if testing the air. The horse froze. His ears flicked back, then forward. He did not rear. He did not strike. He stood. Silence spread across the yard. No one laughed now. Ethan Cole looked at the woman in front of him and saw something settle into place that he had not known was missing. He cleared his throat. 1 month, he said. Not one horse. The whole herd. Abigail nodded once. She did not smile. Abigail Moore began work before sunrise. The air was cold, the horses uneasy, shifting in their stalls. She moved without waiting for orders, filling troughs and checking legs and hooves. The foreman watched her from the rail with a tight smile. He muttered to one of the men that she would be gone before the week was out. Ethan Cole heard it and said nothing. By mid-morning, the yard had changed. The horses stood with their heads lower. One gelding known for biting pinned his ears when Abigail approached. The foreman scoffed. "Give it a minute," he said. "He'll show you what he does to strangers." Abigail said quietly, "Easy now," and waited. The gelding stamped once, then settled. The foreman looked away, irritated that his prediction did not land. He tried again, louder. "You think calm words make you a horsewoman?" Abigail did not rise to it. "No," she said. "Time does." The trouble came 2 nights later. A young mare refused her feed and stood apart, sides tight and eyes dull. Abigail saw it immediately. "She's wrong," she said. The foreman waved a hand. "She'll eat when she's hungry." Abigail shook her head. "She's foaling." The mare went down before dawn. The foreman shouted for lanterns and cursed when the mare kicked. "Get back," he barked. "You'll get yourself killed." Abigail knelt anyway. Her hands were already red with blood and slick with sweat, but they did not shake. "Hold her head," she said. The foreman hesitated. "I said get back." "She needs space," Abigail said. "And quiet." The mare thrashed. The foreman panicked and yanked the rope, fumbling, loud, clumsy. "She's tearing herself up," he snapped, as if blame could fix it. Abigail's voice cut through him. "Stop. You're hurting her." Ethan stepped in then. "Do what she says," he told the foreman. His tone left no room for argument. The foreman swallowed, cheeks dark with anger, and finally obeyed. Minutes stretched into hours. The foreman paced and swore and wiped his hands on his coat. Abigail stayed where she was, shoulders set, eyes fixed, guiding with precise movements learned from long nights and hard losses. "Come on," she murmured to the mare. "Easy. Breathe." When the foal finally slid free, weak but alive, the yard went silent. The foreman stared, mouth open, words gone. The foal twitched, then drew breath. A low sound passed through the men, half relief, half disbelief. Abigail sagged back onto her heels. Ethan was beside her before she asked. He caught her elbow and helped her stand. He handed her a clean towel without comment. She took it and wiped her hands. Their eyes met for a brief second, and something settled there, steady and unspoken. The foreman cleared his throat, forced to find a place for his pride. "I didn't think she could do it," he said, rough and unwilling. Ethan did not look at him. "You don't have to think," Ethan said. "You just have to learn." The foreman went quiet. Abigail turned back to the mare and the foal, and Ethan watched her like he was seeing the ranch for the first time. "You did good work," he said. "You keep going. The month is yours to finish." The days settled into a rhythm after the foal survived. Word traveled through the ranch without being spoken aloud. Men watched more than they talked. When Abigail Moore entered a stall, horses shifted toward her instead of away. She worked from dawn until the light thinned, tending to coats and hooves, measuring feed, noticing small changes before they became trouble. Ethan Cole found himself checking the yard less often, then realizing he had not needed to. The foreman kept his distance. When he spoke, it was shorter, careful, as if unsure where his voice belonged now. By the end of the week, Ethan gave Abigail a ledger and told her to mark what she saw. She did it without comment. At supper, the talk was quieter. Someone asked about the foal, and Abigail answered plainly. No pride in it, only facts. Ethan noticed how the room leaned toward her words. He did not correct it. He did not need to. One evening, the moon rose full and low. The horses breathed easy, their shapes dark and steady against the fence. Abigail sat on an overturned bucket near the barn door, rubbing salve into her hands. Ethan approached with a canteen and set it beside her. He sat on the rail across from her. The quiet held. "You planning to stay through winter?" he asked. "If the work stays," she said. "And if you'll have me?" He nodded. "The work stays." She looked down at her hands. "I am not here to be saved," she said. "I know how it looks. I know what people think when they see me. I just want to be useful. I want a place where effort counts more than how you look doing it." Ethan watched the horses beyond her shoulder. "That is how this place runs," he said, and then added, "It should have run that way sooner." She told him about moving from ranch to ranch, about doors that closed before she finished speaking, about nights spent sleeping near stock because animals never mocked her. She said horses listened when people did not. She said patience had weight. Ethan listened without interrupting. He realized he had never asked a worker why they stayed or why they left. The thought sat with him, uncomfortable and honest. A noise came from the far pen. One of the older mares snorted and backed away. Abigail stood at once. "She's restless," she said. Ethan rose with her. They crossed the yard together. Abigail moved first, then paused, letting the mare see her. She spoke softly and waited. The mare settled. Ethan stood beside Abigail, close enough to feel the calm pass between them. He handed her a clean cloth when she asked for it. Their fingers brushed. Neither spoke. Later, as they walked back, Ethan said, "I do not make promises I cannot keep." "I don't need promises," Abigail said. "I need mornings like this." He looked at her then, really looked, and felt the ranch shift under his feet in a way that felt right. Finish the month, he said. After that, we will talk about the rest. Abigail nodded once. The moonlight held them both, quiet and certain, as the horses breathed and the night went on. The change came with the weather. A dry wind blew in from the west and left the herd restless. Dust hung in the air longer than it should have, and the horses shifted through the day, ears flicking, tails snapping. Abigail Moore noticed it before anyone else did. She marked it in the ledger and moved feed schedules forward, spread the herd wider, and spent more time walking among them. Ethan Cole watched her work without comment. He trusted her now in ways he had not named out loud. The foreman complained that she was coddling the animals. "They've worked through worse," he said. Abigail answered calmly that work meant nothing if the herd broke down together. Ethan backed her with a look alone. The foreman fell quiet. That night, one of the geldings went down. He was a strong animal, valuable, stubborn, and known to bite. When the alarm was raised, men ran with lanterns and noise filled the pens. The horse thrashed and struck the ground, eyes wild. The foreman shouted orders that collided with each other and made no sense. Someone tried to pull the rope tight. The horse screamed. "Stop!" Abigail said. Her voice was not loud, but it cut clean through the chaos. "You're crowding him." No one listened at first. Ethan stepped forward. "Do what she says." The words landed heavy. Hands lowered. The yard went still enough to hear the horse breathe. Abigail knelt in the dust. She checked the leg quickly, then the flank, then the eyes. "He's burning," she said. "He's sick, not broken." She sent 2 men for water and ordered the others back. When the horse kicked weakly, the foreman flinched and cursed. Abigail did not move. Her hands were steady, confident, exact. She cooled the horse slowly, speaking to him the whole time. "Easy now. You're not alone." The night stretched. Sweat ran down her neck and soaked the collar of her shirt. Her arms ached. Ethan stood close, handing her cloths, refilling buckets, doing what she asked without question. When the horse's breathing slowed, a murmur moved through the men. The foreman wiped his face and said nothing. He had no place for his anger now. By dawn, the gelding stood again, shaking but alive. Abigail leaned back on her heels and closed her eyes for a moment too long. Ethan reached out and steadied her before she could fall. He helped her to her feet and held her there until she found her balance. He gave her his coat without a word. She accepted it, surprised, then nodded. When the sun rose, the yard looked different. The men spoke in low voices. They waited for instruction and looked to Abigail when the horses shifted. The foreman cleared his throat once, then turned away. Ethan walked with Abigail along the fence line. "You kept the herd together," he said. "That's the job," she answered. He stopped and faced her. "No," he said. "That's trust." She met his gaze and held it. Around them, the horses stood calm, heads low, breathing even. The ranch felt steady under their feet, as if it had been waiting for this all along. The ranch moved differently after that night. It was not something spoken aloud, but everyone felt it. Men waited before acting. Voices stayed lower. When a horse shifted or pinned its ears, eyes turned to Abigail Moore first. She did not claim authority. She simply did the work, and the work answered for her. Ethan Cole called a meeting near the corrals 3 days later. The sun was already high, heat settling into the boards and rails. The foreman stood with his arms crossed, jaw tight. The hands gathered without noise. Ethan looked over the herd once, then at Abigail. "She stays," he said. "Her pay matches the work she's doing." A few men nodded. No one argued. The foreman opened his mouth, then closed it. Whatever he might have said no longer fit the moment. Abigail did not smile. She did not look around for approval. She returned to the nearest stall and checked a loose latch. Ethan watched her go and felt a quiet rightness settle in his chest. This was how a place learned to stand on better ground. That evening, a storm rolled in from the north. Thunder stayed far off, but the air changed enough to set the horses uneasy. Abigail worked through supper, checking water and moving one mare closer to the barn. Ethan joined her with a lantern and held it while she worked. They did not rush. Rain began in a soft line and darkened the dirt around their boots. "You ever think about leaving?" Ethan asked. Abigail shook her head. "Not if the work is here." He nodded. "Winter will be hard." "I know," she said. "Hard doesn't scare me." They stood side by side as the rain fell harder. A young hand ran past with a rope and nearly slipped. Abigail reached out and steadied him. "Slow down," she said. "The horses will follow your hands." The boy nodded, embarrassed, and slowed. Ethan noticed how easily she taught without raising her voice. Later, when the rain eased, Ethan walked her back toward the barn. He stopped near the gate and cleared his throat. "I don't run this place alone," he said. "I never should have tried." Abigail met his eyes. "Then don't," she said. He smiled at that, just a little. "I want you to help set the routine," he said. "Feed times, rest days, what we change when the weather turns." She considered it, then nodded. "We start tomorrow." The foreman passed them on his way to the house. He did not speak. He tipped his hat once and kept walking. It was not an apology, but it was something close. As the night settled, Ethan watched Abigail move through the barn, sure and steady, and understood that the ranch was no longer only his. It was becoming a place shaped by care and patience, and by a woman who asked for nothing but the chance to do the work right. The afternoon settled into a calm that felt earned. The herd stood spread across the lower pasture, heads down, tails still. Dust rose and fell and did not linger. Abigail Moore walked the fence line, checking posts, counting breaths without meaning to. She paused to rub a mare's neck and felt the animal lean into her hand. The foal from the stormy night trotted a few steps behind its mother, unsteady but curious, learning the shape of the ground. Ethan Cole watched from the shade of the barn. He did not call out. He waited. The ranch felt quieter than it had in years, not empty, just steady. He remembered how often noise had stood in for order. He had learned something different now. Care could be seen if you stood long enough to notice it. Abigail finished her round and stopped near the gate. Ethan walked out to meet her and held it open. She passed through and nodded her thanks. They stood a moment, looking out over the pasture. The wind moved the grass in a slow wave, and the horses followed it, calm and sure. "You kept your word," Ethan said. "So did you," Abigail replied. He shifted his weight and cleared his throat. "The month ends tomorrow." "I know. If you want to stay," he said, choosing the words with care. "There is work here that does not end with a season. There is a room by the barn, and a place at the table." Abigail did not answer right away. She looked back at the herd, at the mare and her foal, at the shapes that had begun to feel like home. "I will stay," she said finally, "as long as the work stays honest." Ethan nodded. "It will." They walked back together as the light softened. A hand waved from the far pen. Someone asked a quiet question about feed. Abigail answered without raising her voice, and the question settled. Ethan noticed how easily the ranch leaned toward her now, how trust had taken root without ceremony. At the barn door, he stopped and held out a folded cloth. Clean. Dry. "For your hands," he said. She took it and smiled, just a little. "Thank you." The sun dipped and the sky warmed. The horses breathed and the sound carried. Ethan felt the ranch breathe with them. He did not need to name what stood between them. He knew only that mornings would come and the work would meet them both, and that was enough. Abigail turned back once before heading inside. "Ethan," she said. "Yes. This place listens now." He met her eyes and understood. "So do I." She went in and the door closed softly. Ethan remained where he was, the pasture before him, the barn behind, and the sense that something had been set right at last. If this story touched something real inside you, please tap like. It truly helps this channel reach people who need these stories. And if you want more quiet frontier tales about dignity, healing, and second chances, consider subscribing so you do not miss the next one. Now let me ask you something. Have you had dinner yet? What are you doing right now while listening to this story? And where are you listening from? What time is it where you are? Leave a comment and tell me. Knowing you are out there gives me the strength to keep bringing you more Wild West stories like this one.